Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you so much for contacting me. The
Thank
weather
you
looks
very
good, good your
yeah,
side?
yeah. So
Good.
thank you very much for accepting my invitation and accepting to be on my show.
Thank you so much.
So you're the first person from New Zealand.
Oh, Emma, how many people have you spoken to on your channel or that you've interviewed?
Uh, from New Zealand or from all over the world?
Oh, from all over the world. Have you done quite a lot of people?
More than 380 interviews I did.
Wow, that's good. That's really, really good. So I'm the first one from New Zealand then.
Yeah, first
So,
first from New Zealand. Who is from technology, who is not from other professions. I did pro with a New Zealand writer
okay.
who
All
is
right.
not
No.
from technical, but I'm a tech
Uh,
guy.
you're a
I
tech
mean,
guy too. Good.
yeah, it's a pleasure for me to talk with the technology person who is from New Zealand. That is
No.
you.
Yes, no, and thank you also for contacting me and getting hold of me. And I'll do my best to try and explain and answer your questions that you have around various technologies that I've worked with. So it doesn't just mean Azure. I've worked with a wide range of technologies in my career. I've been doing IT for many, many, many years, and I've worked for some big American companies in New Zealand. Um, as well as smaller companies and some very well-known New Zealand companies as well. So, yes.
Wow. So before talking about it, can you introduce yourself to my audience?
Hi, my name's Ryan O'Connell. I've been doing IT for over 18 years. I'm originally from Zimbabwe, Africa, and I migrated to New Zealand more than 15 years ago. Um, I've been, like I said, most of my career is being IT. I design networks, do security work, but like everybody that's done IT, I started at the bottom and slowly over time worked my way up. It's a great field to be in. I believe technology is going to change the way we work, the way we play, and just the way we do business. And like I say, I know it's sad, but with the way COVID has impacted the world, technology has really starting to come to the forefront of everybody's minds in terms of what we can do with the technology. I mean, in the past, we all used to work remotely, we'd use terminal services or VPN, and now it's becoming a standard with Microsoft moving into the cloud. Before there was no cloud. AWS as well are very big in the field. They're bigger than Microsoft in the cloud space, but Microsoft is catching up. Uh, Again, I love my job and I love sharing knowledge.
So can you tell me what is your profession now and what you are into before?
I've always been doing IT. My previous job, I was an IT manager at quite a very, should I say, yeah, for New Zealand size, it was a very big company. Um, and I was made redundant, and I was with that company for well over 8 years. And now I'm working for another big company, also as the IT manager, senior infrastructure solutions architect. So my job is to look after all the IT infrastructure for our company, and that includes everything from people's mobile phones to the office systems, the office phone systems, iPads, thin clients, desktops, notebooks, Microsoft Surface tablets. Uh, a lot of our technology is used in our plant because the company I work for, is our one of New Zealand's biggest recycling companies. They recycle waste, so their plant is also fully computerized. I played a core role in setting up the computer infrastructure in that plant as well. So we have trucks that go over weigh bridges that calculate the weight of the waste. All that is done via computers. and it's has to go over the network. It goes into our applications and our software that we use to track everything. We deploy jobs to hundreds of drivers through the trucks throughout the country. So those drivers need to be able to get their jobs on their computers, because they have little computers in their trucks. Tells them where to go, tells them exactly what they need to do with the job, how to contact a customer if they get to that site and they're not too sure what needs to happen. Of course, we have our salespeople as well. We've got quite a big sales team, so I look after all of their sales, their IT support as well. Again, I'm also in the process. Our company is also in Azure. So again, it's looking after all the servers, all the databases, making sure the backups are there. If we have a disaster, we can recover. Also, all of our company uses Office 365. So it's a case of looking after Office 365. And as you know, with a lot of companies, you have employees coming and going. So you've got to make sure that when they arrive, all their systems work, their computers work, they can log on, they can get their emails, they can do their job, they have the right applications, they have the right permissions, and things like that. When they leave, decommissioning their accounts, forwarding their emails to the concerned manager. So quite a lot involved. Also working very closely with other operational managers to see what their IT needs are and how to streamline things. And also in conjunction with that, my job is also upgrading equipment, decommissioning old equipment, installing new equipment. So there's a lot that I do.
So you are a solution architect?
Yes, I'm a solution architect. I also design networks as well. Yes, I design our infrastructure. Yes.
Physical infrastructure or?
Our physical infrastructure, as well as, because when I started with the company, we had a local service and stuff, and I designed the solution to move from on-premise into the cloud. So again, it's migrating all of those physical servers, converting them to virtual machines, and then moving them up into Azure, into the cloud. So yes, we don't just have our Auckland office. Auckland is one of the biggest cities in New Zealand. It's not just Auckland that we have. We also have a few little satellite offices as well that are all connected via VPNs and via WANs to our offices. So our infrastructure, like I say, our IT infrastructure is really big. I mean, I also work with our cabling guys. I don't physically lay the network cabling or the fiber. I work with a third-party experts. That's what they do for a job. They're cabling experts, and they'll lay the cabling. But again, like I say, because I've moved stuff up into the cloud, again, it's pretty easy to create VNets and subnets and firewalls and segregate our network. We have many VLANs for different departments to keep everything secure and isolated, because security plays a big part in IT, and some way. It's pretty important that you protect your data, especially for companies. So, yeah.
So what will be the client requirements and what you are going to do?
With our client requirements, I work for a company that we have our own IT infrastructure. We don't design for other clients. I have in the past designed for other clients, but our company, I look after our company IT because we're a huge company. So we don't do IT work for someone else. We have our own IT department, our own IT support, our own service center or customer desk, where we do stuff. So I look after all of our internal IT, our stuff in the cloud, because we have hundreds of employees. So yeah, we don't design solutions for external parties.
Okay, what will be the requirements?
What do you mean the requirements? Be a bit more specific.
You said you are into infrastructure. So what exactly you do as a solution architect?
I've just explained that as a solution architect, my job is to look after our complete network infrastructure, as well as over time, if our infrastructure needs to be upgraded or modified, It's my job to make sure that we modify and upgrade stuff and that we keep the business running. For example, if we've got servers that are under load, it's my job to see which servers are under load, which servers need to be load balanced, which servers need to be in a scale set, the security. So I look after all of that. I'm the main IT manager at our company at this current stage. So I look after everything, right down from purchasing hardware for a person. If they need a notebook and their notebook is damaged and cannot be repaired, then it's my job to make sure they get the right notebook that is capable of running our applications. But not only that, it's capable so that they can access their information anywhere, anytime, over any platform. And again, a lot of people also access their stuff not just through their notebook, also with their mobile phones. We have, again, my job is to make sure that security is in place. That's what a solutions architect does. They design your network. They help manage and maintain your network. They make sure that they provision your network so that you have the correct resources and the correct infrastructure in place. So that your infrastructure is not costing you an arm and a leg, because if you design an IT solution and it's incorrect, it can be very expensive. Like someone said to me, designing a network or designing infrastructure is really expensive. So I said, well, try bad architecture, and then you'll tell me what expensive is. So if something is designed badly, it becomes expensive, because people are always worried about costs. Well, we want to move into the cloud, or we want to design our network. Most people can design a network. Where the critical components come into it is finding out what your company's capacity is. Are you designing a network for one person, or are you designing it for hundreds of people? What resources are going to run on that network, so that you can decide, are your servers going to be strong enough? Because you don't want to design a solution and the email's slow. Then you'll have people complaining, my email's slow. Or when people are trying to work on their application, my application is slow loading. I'm trying to Skype and Skype keeps on cutting out. Or security as well. Protecting your infrastructure from from external threats as well as internal threats. When I mean internal, not everybody damages a network. Some people do things by accident. They may delete a folder that has important documents. I need that folder back. Again, locking down resources so only certain people have access to only certain information. Like you'll have your HR or human resources will have access to certain information as opposed to accounts. The accounts team that pay all the bills have financial information that nobody else in the company needs to know about. Only they need to know about it. The same as the directors and shareholders. They'll have their information that only they need to know about. And certain managers will have information about what they need to do. So it's all about designing a network. So when it comes to infrastructure, it's about sitting down with your customer, or sitting down with your manager, or sitting down with the stakeholders and saying okay, what is it you want to do? And then based on their feedback, you can say, you may need 4 servers, or we may need to put another extra server in the cloud. Or hang on, that server hasn't been used, over a month period. If you look at the reports, that server was accessed once. So maybe we don't need that server. Maybe we can move that data somewhere else. So it's all about, like I said, designing the best solution to fit your needs. Microsoft Azure have a pretty good tools to help you design your network, cost out your network. Because at the end of the day, designing a network is great. If you've got tons and tons and loads of money, you can have the perfect network. But not everybody has that. So you've got to base your design on, first of all, how much is the customer willing to spend, or how much is your company's budget to spend on that infrastructure. And once you've kind of know, this is what we've got, they'll probably add or take away stuff, because they might say, again, like with Office 365, you have different tiers that give you different, different tiers. different levels that give you access to different applications. You know, you can get your Word and Excel, but people might say, well, I need Word, Excel, Outlook, and Teams. Or, you know, I might need Visio, or I might need projects. So these are things that all have a cost involved. So as a solution architect, it's your job to ask these questions, to find out what is it that your user is doing, or what is it, or that the department is doing, or the company is doing, so that you can design a solution to fit their needs. Designing the solution is the first stage, and in my opinion, that can be it's not a hard job to do. It's just time consuming. Where the real critical part comes into designing a solution is managing and maintaining that solution. Because like everything else, you know, your car needs maintenance. You can buy a car and it'll take you from A to B, but it's not going to do that forever. You still need to put petrol in it. You still need to clean it, and you still need to wash it and look after it. So it's the same thing with your IT infrastructure as well. You still need, someone can say to you, hey, Sai, there you go, we've designed a network solution, off you go. But then you need to have the right resources to manage it and look after it and maintain it. Because if it's not managed and looked after and maintained, then things fall down. But again, also, you may have designed a solution for me that may have A, B, and C, but then over time, my needs may change to A, B, C, D, and F. So when you're designing a solution, or when I'm designing a solution, I always sit down with the customer and say, right, what is it you're looking at the moment for, and where do you plan to be in the next 3 or 5 years? So I try to design ahead so that I have that capacity and capability. And that's one of the fantastic things about the cloud. The cloud allows you to scale up and scale down very quickly. And that's why I think it's becoming very popular, because the security is built in. Certain things Microsoft take care of. You don't have to worry about upgrades. You don't have to worry about, or if a server falls over and crashes. Oh, how do I get my data? We're all down. Now we've got to sit and wait for the technician to come and fix it. So moving to the cloud has advantages, and it has disadvantages as well. I mean, that's why it's really important to find out what it is your customer is doing. To give you a good example, I had one friend of mine who was designing a solution for another company that used SolidWorks, very big, intensive graphics solution for engineering designing. And they would just say, oh, we'll just put a standard virtual machine and off we go. And I said, well, no, that's not going to work, because that's going to put that CPU under load. And that program's going to run very, very slow. And when it runs slow, it's going to cause your user frustration. So you have to design the solution based on what your needs are. For example, you may be a graphics designer, and you may be using Adobe and all these high-end applications. You can't throw that on a virtual machine with 4 gigs of RAM and Windows 10 and say, or 8 gigs of RAM and Windows 10 and say, there you go, your solution's all perfect. Because once you start using Adobe, for example, if you use Photoshop, or you'll see quickly the minimum specs are 16 gigs of RAM, because once you start using Photoshop, it starts chewing through your memory and your CPU resources almost instantly. You can see the drive, and people also have certain software on their cameras or on their videos that they may want to edit. So having something that's very low spec is not going to work. But again, you don't want to have something that's very high spec that you're not going to use, because you're paying for those resources. But then again, you've got to try and find the middle ground, because you may say to somebody may say, well, but yeah, this is what I need now at this current moment. You know, this is what we need to get to work. And you say, yep, no, that's fine, but I'm going to design it a little bit higher, because you'll find 90% of the time, and in my experience, 90% of the time, that their needs change. I mean, I'll give you an example. When I worked for EDS New Zealand, they were a huge American corporation. We had over 4,000 employees. And then EDS was bought out by HP. I'm sure you know who HP are. And HP are a very big company. They build PCs and stuff. So again, making sure that when you are designing solutions you have so many things come into play. It's not a case of, well, okay, we've designed a solution, we've shoved some permissions on a hard drive or on a shared folder. There you go. You've also got to find out from your users or from your managers or the stakeholders, are people working remotely? Are they working from home? Are they traveling to different countries? If they're traveling to different countries, they still need to access their resources. In the past, when people were traveling to different countries, the only way they could really access their resources was via a VPN. You'd have to go with, like, for example, if you were in the US or in India, because we had staff go over there quite often, and they would then connect to a VPN and off they go. And sometimes that can be unstable. And now with Azure, with the cloud, all they need is an internet connection and a web browser. So it doesn't matter where you are or what you do, as long as you've got that, then you'll be good to go. So being a solutions architect, again, sometimes can be frustrating because you know the solution is right, but then people also want to change the solution. So it's a matter of being patient, working with your stakeholders, explaining to them why you're designing the solution this way. Because a lot of people will say, well, we don't need that, we don't need that. And I say, well, actually, you do. You need security. You know, if something happens with ransomware, or what happens if you need a backup restored? You know, you need to back up your data. That data needs to live somewhere, or that backup needs to live somewhere. So, yeah, being a solutions architect gives you the flexibility to design solutions based on customers' needs. But that's just part of it. The main part is making sure if you're handing it over to someone that you have the right skill set to manage that infrastructure and to continue managing that infrastructure. And you'll find 90% of the time, the person that designed the solution, when the solution needs to be upgraded or modified, again, it's really important that you contact that person. It's also important that you document your stuff so that you have documentation available for the next solution architect to pick up. Because I may design a solution and then hand it over to you to finish or for you to look after. And if you don't have the documentation and you don't know what I've done, it can be frustrating and really hard for you to try and figure out, well, what has this guy done? So again, designing solutions that are complex can cause problems. You know, when I design a solution, I try to keep it as simple as possible, but at the same time make sure that I have all the security features and all the other core stuff in place. Because if you get too complicated, remember, you've got to fix it. So all these things come into play at the end of the day. Again, getting the right equipment. I mean, if I've got a PC at work and I'm connecting to the cloud and I've got an ADSL connection as opposed to a fiber connection, already there's going to be an impact on performance. So it depends on what each person is doing.
How many services are there in Microsoft Azure, and is it important for a solution architect to know about all the services, how it works, and the mechanism of each and every service?
They don't need to know each and every service. There are core services in Microsoft, and those core services, you know, are like your virtual machines, functions, and a whole lot of stuff. Your networking services, for example, your virtual networks, load balancers, VPN gateways, content delivery networks. Again, you have storage services, which is really important. That, you know, you have Blob, which allows you to scale text and binary objects. Blob allows you to use shared files. It replaces your traditional map drive, if you want to call it. So you can share files between on-prem and in the cloud as well. Again, you have Azure Queue services, you've got databases services, you've got different databases like CosmoDB, Microsoft SQL. Again, there's database migration involved. I mean, there's a lot of services in Azure, and to learn all of those services, it takes a lot of time. But you don't need to know all of them, because at the end of the day, you will learn those over time. But to get up and running, you do need to have a fundamental understanding of why would we use a blob service over a file storage service. you do need to have an understanding of networking services, because people are going to connect. You may need to create gateways and load balancers. You may need to have an application gateway which provides the management and traffic of web applications. You may want to have content delivery where you can distribute content to different regions, because I may have an office in India and an office in New Zealand. I don't want people coming all the way back to New Zealand to access data. I can cache that data in the Indian region. So by default, when they connect, they're connecting straight to a data center in India, not in the US. Therefore, it makes delivery really quick. And that understanding of those services are important. But again, Azure do a huge range of services. Let me just have a quick look here. I mean, for example, you've got general services, you've got compute, you've got networking, you've got storage, you've got web, you've got mobile, you've got containers, databases, analytics, blockchains, you've got AI. I mean, you've got security, DevOps, you've got migration services, you've got different integration services. So they all play a huge part. But you don't need to understand them all. You just need to have a good base of what services are important to get you up and running. And I have found over my course of the career, because I'm also a Microsoft certified trainer, and I've trained people in Azure. I try to publish up training videos on my YouTube channel to real world videos to get people up and running very quickly with creating a service or setting up something really quick. So yes, it is important that someone has a good understanding of those services, because if they don't, it can be detrimental to them as well as the company.
So what are the services that you use most of the time?
Most of the time, I would say there's quite a lot of them, but I would say a lot of them would be, as you know, Azure is very famous for their compute services, which is your virtual machines. And so compute services or infrastructure as a service allows you to have your virtual machines running in the cloud. You would have your scale sets, which allows you to create duplicate virtual machines, and they can scale up and down with demand, very good for services. And then you have your app services, which allow you to deploy an enterprise web-grade and mobile API apps. And of course, you have then functions where computer actions are based on events. But to get someone up and running in Azure, I would say if they have a good understanding of your Azure virtual machines, that's why people move to Azure. And the second would be, I would say, your storage, understanding the different storage services, because once you've got your virtual machines up there, you've got data. And people access their data the traditional way would be through a mapped drive, as you probably would know, or they'd have stuff on their local machine. But if you're on a network, people will be all accessing data on a map drive and going to different folders and accessing those different resources. Now, file shares and blob storage take care of that. It allows you to upload your videos, pictures, JPEGs, whatever you want, text to the cloud, and you can access it and make it look like a map drive. But in the background, it's running on a different platform. To the user, it looks like the standard map drive, which is great because some users don't like change, and then they'll say, oh, but this is different. This is, and say, well, actually, no, it's the same thing. So once you offer something to a user, like I say, file services, we use file services a lot because people access their file services. Our staff have Windows virtual desktops or VDIs. Each staff has their own VDI, their own little virtual machine that they log on to. And once they log onto that virtual machine, it's got their map drive there, or should I say their file share there, and they access their file share. If you don't want them to access a virtual machine and they've got a local Surface or a local PC on their desk, then you can actually set up a file share, which is going through Azure storage services. Having that understanding is really important. Also, security and key vaults. Key vaults provide a way to keep your security keys safe, because obviously when you're creating these storage services. You want to encrypt your data and you want to keep your data safe. But at the same time, you want to keep your keys safe, because if you lose your keys, then nobody can access that storage. And if you try and regenerate the keys, then you're going to kick everyone off that storage, because you've now generated the key, which means the security key that they have won't work. So that means you now need to let everyone have a new key, which is a pain, where if you create a policy, like a Windows group policy, you can push that policy out and it'll only affect certain people. And you can just say, well, I'll just log off and log back on and things will be back to normal again. Because when you've got 1 or 2 people, it's fine. But when you've got 200 or 300 people chasing you, then you'll earn your money very, very quickly. So it's about thinking the best way to provide those resources. So and having an understanding of Azure networking is great. Knowing how networks are created, because obviously you're going to connect to that virtual machine. You're going to connect to that file share, and it uses an IP address. And if you're working from home, you have public IP addresses. If you're working internally, you can have an internal IP address. So it's having a basic understanding of what is a network and what does a virtual network do. And a virtual network provides communication to Azure resources. And of course, then we have our VPN gateway, which provides availability to allow people to access stuff. So I would say to get up and running with Azure, if somebody can get a good understanding of the Azure storage services, the Azure network services, and the Azure compute services, that will definitely get them up and running really quickly, because those are the 3 services that are used a lot. I mean, we have database services. I mean, normally your database admins would look after that, because you won't have someone doing 10 things. I mean, in today's IT environment, we do have people that are SQL or database experts, as well as developers. Gone are the days of, I'm just a developer, all I do is developing work, I don't do anything else. Or I'm a database administrator, all I do is database. They do expect the IT guy, as you know, to have some fundamental understanding of IT infrastructure. Like, can you deploy an SQL database? You may not manage it, but then you hand it over to somebody else. Or hang on, we need you to recover data. We need you to recover this database that's been corrupted or deleted. And as the IT infrastructure person, you need to do that and then pass it back onto the database guy. I've recovered your database. There it is. Go ahead and do your work. So having an understanding of a couple of the core services like databases, compute, storage, and networking, in my opinion, is really important, because networking also will introduce you to Azure firewalls, which is important as well. But I mean, it's so huge. And I think when people look at Azure and they think, oh, I've got to learn all of these services. No, you don't. You won't use all of those services in your lifetime. You're not going to be working in every single one of them. I mean, you'll probably work in a few of them, but then you'd have a team of guys. Like, I'll say to you, hey, Sai, you the VMware guy, or you the virtual machine guy, I need you to create me a Windows server, and you would do that. And then you say, hey, Ron, you the database guy, can you set this database up? Or then you might have another guy who's responsible for storage. Hey, Ryan, our storage is running low. We've got, only 100 gigs of storage left, and, we're using, or 10 gigs of storage left, and I need another 50 gigs. So it'll be your goal to provision that storage so that people don't, so that they can save the applications, because they might try and save data. And obviously, if there's not enough storage, they're not going to be able to save their data in the cloud. So having, like I say, an understanding, in my opinion, of storage services, of networking, compute, and a basic overview of what some of the other services do, then over time you will learn. And I would say to someone that's wanting to get into cloud computing, what is it that you want to do? If you want to become a developer, then you'd be going down the DevOps side. I mean, because you've got Visual Studio code that plugs into Azure. You've got Again, your database stuff, so you can develop, create databases and develop your own databases in Azure. You've got containers as well, which allows you to put stuff into those containers, resources. You've got the web app section where, if you're a web person, you can do that. There's a lot of functionality around there. So again, it's you as an individual deciding, okay, what is it I want to do in my career? Do I want to be a networking specialist? Do I want to be a database specialist? Do I want to be Azure? Do I want to learn about Active Directory? So I would say, the best start for a lot of people that want to get into Azure is to do the Microsoft AZ 900 course. It's brilliant. It gives you an amazing overview and a really good understanding of quite a lot of the services, including the core services that we spoke about, but it also touches on other services as well, so that you can walk away, because once you've done the AZ 900 course, you yourself as an individual will know, right, this is where I want to go with my career. I want to go down this road, because you don't want to spend all your time and say, okay, well, I'm going to study virtual machines, and then you say, well, but it's not telling me anything about databases. Well, that's because you're studying the wrong material. Again, Azure is very big. They have certifications in security. They have certifications in Azure administration. The Azure AZ 900 fundamentals is really good. It gives you that base understanding of stuff, even including security. And then, like I say, once a user's done the AZ 900, they can then move forward onto or expand their Azure knowledge.
Is it important for a solution architect like you to have in-depth knowledge of each and every service that is there?
It's important that you have, in my field, it's important that I have a solid foundation. I don't have to have in-depth knowledge, like I say, of every single Azure service, because if you look on the Azure portal, there are literally hundreds, or should I say, there are many, many, many services, and you can't learn them all. But it is important as a solutions architect to have a really solid understanding of the core services, security, administration, because those services are what is going to drive your company. And not only that, you as a solutions architect will be able to advise your management or the company you're designing the solution for on the skill set that they need. So you might say, okay, well, you need to have database guys, or you need to have your security team need to be involved because they need to manage the day-to-day security. And like I say, Microsoft do the AZ 500 course, which is just purely security around a lot of the services, keeping your infrastructure safe, locking down your infrastructure. So as a solutions architect, yes, it's important that if you don't have the security knowledge, or and you don't have certain knowledge, that you align yourself with people that do, so that you can glean that knowledge from them, so that you know where you're going. But again, most solutions architects would have, like I said, Microsoft do a solutions architect certification, the AZ 300 course or 303 course now, and that's really in depth in designing and managing and securing your solutions. So if someone's done the AZ Solutions Architect course, they'll be absolutely fine, because it'll cover all the services that they need, and they will go through all the core services and all the core security services. Because, for example, if you look, to give you an example, if you look at Active Directory, as you and I know from the past, Active Directory, someone says, oh, do you need to know Active Directory? And so, well, what is it you want to know? There's groups, there's users, there's policies. So as you start drilling down through the different services, there's sub-services. That's why I say there's literally hundreds of services, because if I say Azure security, and we're going, we've got more, we've got policies, you've got key vaults, you've got backup and recovery, you've got site recovery, you've got your so many other things available. as you drill down, it just opens up more and more. So doing a solutions architect certification will provide you the knowledge to do that. Again, I wouldn't say to someone, go and design a network if they haven't got any qualifications underneath Azure, because everybody's moving to Azure for a number of reasons. Well, I'll say the cloud, because it's saving the company's money. It's easy to provision a resource. A resource could be a virtual machine or another network or a backup or a security vault. So you can do that on the fly, where in the past that would take time. For example, I would, as a solutions architect in the past, when I was designing solutions, I'd have to then order service from HP, and then there's a delay and for shipping, and then when the servers come, you have to build the servers and put the operating system on, and you've got to test the servers, and you've got all the other applications that go on top of it. Then you've got to connect it to the network. If a switch goes down, you've got to order a network switch and wait for that to arrive. You've got to order cabling, the right type of cabling, the right length. So there's a lot of things that come into play. And that's what we used to do in the past. And of course, then there's powering costs. Is there power? Where am I going to plug the server in? Do I have enough power outlets? Besides the server, we need to order a backup drive, because we need to back up data off the server to that drive. Now, where's that backup going to go? Where now with Azure, you can actually provision a server in minutes and have it live, and off you go. And that's what's changing IT rapidly. The ability to provision a resource almost instantaneously is unheard of until now. I mean, if you just go back 10 years, and 10 years is not a long time to go back, and you look at computing 10 years ago and you look at computing now, you'll see how it's changed. I mean, just to give you another example, we look at the cloud and we say, wow, this is great. I reckon in the next 5 years, we're going to see a huge push in virtual reality. At the moment now, I know the US military use virtual reality, where you put on these glasses and it shows you how to wire up a helicopter. You can actually follow the diagram. I've seen it. I've actually seen that happen. Or how to wire up a transformer, or how do I build something, and it shows you layout. You can just follow the diagram and connect stuff up. So, but it's not just for the military. I mean, doctors are using VR now as well to help them in their operations. So there's a lot of changes that are coming to IT. I suppose when we were at school and we were learning Windows, or we were learning all about computers, I think it won't be long and a lot of people will be accessing their stuff. I mean, a really good example is Microsoft Office. Before, you could go and buy Office in your shop and say, I want to buy a copy of Microsoft Office. Now you buy a subscription. And it's not just Microsoft that's moving to subscription-based. I mean, HP offer their services, VMware, Trend Micro Antivirus. A lot of companies are going subscription-based. You look at Netflix, and Disney Plus, all subscription-based models. And, they have their good sides and their bad sides, but it's keeping up with technology is important. And that's why as a solutions architect, when you're designing something, you need to plan ahead, because you don't know what the company's requirements will be in the next 2 years or the next 5 years. So having a cloud solution, and the reason I use Azure, because it's really robust, it's a really stable platform. I mean, Microsoft have come to the party. I mean, in the past, when they first launched Azure, it was like, oh, okay, this is going to be interesting, because Amazon, AWS are the major players. They've been doing this way before Microsoft, and their platform does the same as Microsoft, but it's different. I mean, I'm also a certified AWS Solutions Architect Associate with Amazon, and Amazon have been doing this for many years, but because I live and breathe in Azure for my work, that's where my focus is, on Azure. And I decided, okay, well, we're moving into Azure, and a long time ago I decided, well, let me get Azure certified. And I had a lot of people laugh at me saying, "Oh, you're doing cloud computing. That's not gonna, Microsoft, you're wasting your time there." So I said that's where technology is going, and we have to move forward. And Microsoft have proven that. I mean, now your qualifications, your MCSA and stuff are no longer there anymore. It's all Azure certifications, and they've broken it down now. So instead of doing 3 exams to get 1 certification, you can do 1 exam and get qualified, which is great. So you can become a specialized person in each track that you do, which is great. I mean, and like I say, Microsoft is widely used. So designing a solution is important that you think ahead where the company is going and ask the questions. I mean, sometimes people say, "Oh, no, that's not relevant. We don't need it." And then sometimes I might come back, "Oh, we forgot. We didn't even tell you about that." Because you'll design something and then halfway through the design or as you're about to deploy, "Oh, by the way, we forgot to tell you, we also do this and this." And you're like, "Oh, that's great." Now, does that mean you have to redesign the solution again? No, you just need to adapt and change and get the solution working. As the Marines have a saying, simplify. Just adapt and simplify. And that's the thing with IT. And as you know, being a tech, when something goes wrong, you adapt and change on the fly, to get things sitting and working. You don't sit there and go, "Oh, okay, well, now it's not working. I'll just sit here and think about it. And maybe if I think hard enough, it'll fix itself." Your mind is already racing. "Oh, okay, this is not working. I need to do this. I need to do that." And there are so many talented people out there. And I mean, I had someone once say to me, "Oh, I want to do IT, but I'm not clever enough." And I said to them, it's not a case of about being clever enough. I said, the first thing is you need to have confidence in your own ability. Once you have the confidence in your own ability, then you can move forward. And having the right mentors, if you don't know, touching base with someone like you as an IT person or a technical person, you might say, "Yeah, yes, you can do this," or "No, I've had this problem from my experience. You can't do this." And I've trained people who have had no IT knowledge at all, and they're now working for HP. Some of them are working for Microsoft. Some of them are working in our major banks. And, whenever I see them, they say, "Oh, thank you for helping me." I said, "Well, I just pointed you in the right direction and guided you. What you do after that is up to you. You have to put the hard yards in. So you deserve the pat on the back because you worked hard to get where you are."
So, as a solution architect trainee, I know and I understand the overview of all the services that are there. So, what the purpose of each and every service, I know the purpose, what it is, where it is going to be used, and but I don't know the internal process, how to implement it, where to use it. As a person who didn't came into the industry, I mean, who didn't work for a company without implementing it in the with the real use cases, is that possible for me to get into a company, by showing that I have overview of I can answer the purpose of each and every service that is there in the cloud. And I like you said, the core services, I have knowledge about how to create a virtual machine, how to maintain a database, how to create a network. The core services I have understanding, because I got that in my training. I got trained in a company. They trained me how to create machines and all, how to
Yes.
install applications on the machines, and how to maintain the applications. So like that, yesterday I did video with a person who is working on a particular application which will be installed in a VM.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand exactly what you mean. I mean, going to doing training and actually getting a job and doing it live is 2 different things. And what I would say to people, and how I've managed to people that I've trained that have got jobs successfully as obviously when you go to a company, you won't start off as a solutions architect straight away. I mean, you'll probably go as a junior because they'll look on your CV and say, "Okay, well, you don't have that much experience, so you still got a lot to learn." But I would say in order to make your learning curve easy, and should I say, to give the company the validation that you know what's going on, because you can talk the talk, but if you can't walk the walk, then you're in trouble. And this is where a lot of companies get nervous, because they say, well, yes, you've got all these qualifications, but how do we know you can actually do it? You know, you sitting an exam is one thing. So I encourage users, and what I've done with my people that I've trained, I've actually had a live Azure environment, live. And so, right, let's go and create stuff live. Let's do this in the real world. This is what you would face in the real world. I try to base my labs on things that I've come across. I mean, you can read a book and say, lab 1, step 2, step 3. That's great. A lot of the labs that I train on, I incorporate problems into those labs on purpose so that you can learn to troubleshoot. Because a lot of companies here in New Zealand, they're very smart in the IT. They say, okay, well, you've done Azure. Okay, here's our Azure portal. Create a virtual machine and create a key vault and set up a backup policy. It's part of the interview. You know, so the interview, yes, they'll ask you questions, but they'll also say, show me. And companies that have gone that way, because what's happened in the past is they've employed people. And I've seen this happen, and a person comes in, I'm a solutions architect, I've got my qualifications, and then they just break everything. And they break everything not on purpose. They don't mean to do it. It's because they don't know. I mean, the books and videos can give you a good understanding, and it's a fantastic place to start. But in order to keep your job, or to give the company the confidence, we've hired a good engineer. Yes, he doesn't know a lot, but I trust him because A, he's not afraid to ask questions. B, he did pretty well in the interview. You know, the fact that he could create a virtual machine and create a policy and do that live gives me the breathing space of, okay, I can trust him with something. As opposed to, oh, well, I need to think about it. Then they'll kind of say, oh, but you did training, you need to think about creating a virtual machine. No, just create it. So, again, having some hands-on experience is important. And like I would say to somebody, you know, even if you can get a job where, even if they don't want to pay you, if it's your first time getting into the industry, say to them, I'll work for free for a month or two. That way you get to learn, like an internship. You know, you might say, okay, look, I'll work for a minimum salary to gain experience, so that you can get that hands-on. And otherwise, like I say, doing a lab step by step will always work, because it has the instructions to make it work. Where the labs that I've created for the people, and I've probably trained about 350, 400 people in my career in New Zealand, maybe even more than that. I would say, to be honest with you, probably about, just at HP alone, it was 400 people that I trained. And I've worked at some of the big training institutions as well. And I always create my labs with problems. And say, right, in the real world, here's my virtual machine, it's not working. There's the error, let's fix it. Oh, but the book doesn't say anything about this. I said, that's exactly right. Because if you have a problem, you can't say, hang on, I've got a problem. Let me go grab the book and look for chapter number 27. And it tells me the problem. No, it won't tell you that. You as an engineer need to think. And the only way you can get that knowledge is by experience. And then someone says, well, how do I get experience if no one wants to hire me? And then you kind of say, well, you get experience by playing in the platform and being afraid not to make a mistake. You know, so if I make a mistake, that's okay. That's how we learn. I've made hundreds and thousands of mistakes in my career, in IT. Well, not hundreds of thousands, but I've made, loads of mistakes. And I've learned from them, same as you. You would have made mistakes. Oh, okay, I don't do that again because I've learned. But you only learned that because you were involved in a job. So definitely I would say to someone that's wanting to go for a job, is to have confidence, say, look, I can do this, and even be bold enough to say to the person that's interviewing me, put me in front of give me access to your portal and let me create something for you and show you what I can do. And but a lot of people, when you go for interviews, they'll say to you, okay, I've got this Azure virtual machine, it's not working. How do I troubleshoot it? So the first thing you say, well, have you got boot diagnostics enabled on your virtual machine? If it's turned off, you're not going to troubleshoot jack. You know, do you have boot diagnostics enabled? Can we have a look at the logs? Let's have a look at the logs. The logs are going to tell us what's wrong. And you, again, knowing how to read a log, because I think a lot of people don't know how to read logs correctly. They'll just look at a log and they'll go, okay, well, looks complicated. Oh, must be some problem. But understanding what it is that's wrong. I mean, a lot of people might say, okay, I've got a key vault here, I need you to delete it. But then when you try to delete that key vault or that storage, you get an error in Azure saying you can't delete it. And that's quite common because people delete because they're cleaning up their resources and their infrastructure. And they'll sit there and they'll do the same thing. It's not deleting, it's not deleting. And then you say, well, if it's not deleting, read the error message. So it's, I would say, you know, learn about some of the common issues that you face in Azure. Talk to people, say, hey, what problems have you come across and how did you fix them? Because that will, again, give you, put you ahead of the next person that's going for the interview. Because when you go for an interview, 90% of the time they'll say to you, right, I've got this issue, how would you fix it? Whether you get the answer right or wrong is irrelevant. What they want to know is how you think. You know, the process of how would you go about troubleshooting something? What are your steps for troubleshooting? So I would say to someone that's, again, going into the IT industry is learn a little bit about troubleshooting. I mean, it's important. That's where you're going to live. And most of your life is troubleshooting and fixing issues. Because as a solutions architect, you can design a solution, but if something goes wrong, it's not the solutions architect's, he won't be fixing it. You'll probably be part of the team that's designed that needs to fix it. Or, hey, I'm trying to deploy a virtual machine and it's just saying I can't. Well, again, do you have the right permissions? Do you have enough storage? You know, read the error messages, understand what it is that the errors are. So I would say, again, if someone's their first time, again, wanting to go and get a job as a solutions architect, is play in Azure. Spend 30 minutes a day in Azure if you can, creating virtual machines, deleting them, creating policies, deleting them, and you'll find you'll start coming across problems and you'll go, oh, I never saw this in any book. And then make a note of it. And then when people, and I guarantee you the problems that you come across, other people have come across it in the real world. And you'll be absolutely good to go. So I would say having the hands-on experience is really important. So playing in Azure is really important that you not just play with Azure, you know, create a container and delete it. Let's see what happens. You know, let's create a policy and delete it and see what happens. You know, let's create a user and let's try and move one user to another group. Oh, it's not moving. Well, hey, welcome to the real, because they'll probably ask you then in an interview question, why can't you, why doesn't this work? And you may get the answer wrong, but it'll tell the person, oh, this person is not afraid to try, but secondly, he's not afraid to think. And I would say the most important thing in any IT environment is don't be afraid to ask questions. And again, take ownership of stuff. If you've deleted something or you've broken something, say, put your hand up. It's me. I've broke it. Sorry. Help me fix it and show me what I did wrong. A lot of people say, oh, it's not me. It's him. No, it's not him. Oh, it's him. Oh, well, he told me to do it. You know, so we end up having this little circle of people pointing fingers. And I've seen it. It happens every day in the industry. Every day in the workplace. I've seen it in my own team. I was like, hey, guys, we all make mistakes. Let's fix it, you know. And again, yes, you'll make a mistake. And people say, oh, but if I make a mistake, you know, I might get fired. They need to get rid of that thought, because that's a bad thought. A company's not going to invest in you just to fire you. I mean, I had someone, they made a huge mistake that cost the company probably about 150, 200,000 US. So I said, oh, he should be fired. And I said, no, I'm not going to fire him. That's a $200,000 investment that I just made in him. I'm going to teach him. And he ended up being one of the best solutions architects for that company. I said, yes, he made a mistake. Yes, it was an expensive mistake, but it wasn't done on purpose. Nobody goes out to make a mistake on purpose. He took ownership of it, and together we fixed it. And that's the key, in my opinion, is when you're working with someone, yes, mistakes can be expensive, but they can be all avoided by not being afraid to say, well, let me ask questions. Some people say, well, I can't ask this question. I've just started the job. I should know this. No, you don't know everything. Even I sometimes think, well, how do I do this? Hang on, let me call a couple of my mates. They'll say, hey, Ryan, I have no idea. And then they'll say, hang on, let me find out for you. And so I say, oh, call this guy. He'll probably know how to fix it. So at the end of the day, being afraid not to ask questions, taking ownership, say, yes, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. Help me to fix it. Let me tell you, that company will just love you to death. Because the problem we have today in the industry is people are afraid to make mistakes. And if a mistake has been made, that they're afraid they're going to be fired, so they keep quiet. Or people try to push the blame onto somebody else. It's not me, because they're afraid of their jobs. And people think, oh, with COVID, they're going to even fire me now. And it's like, no, companies are not like that. There are companies that value you. There are really good managers, and there are bad managers as well. But I would say, in order to get a good job and to keep that job, is get as much hands-on experience by playing in Azure. Ask questions, even in the interview. Ask questions. And if the guy says, if you say, okay, look, I don't know how to fix that, tell me, how would you fix it? That, the interview, you ask the person saying, you ask, tell me, how would you fix it? And so that I know for next time. That's like a big plus, even though you got the question wrong. It's a big plus straight away. You've already been shortlisted, because you haven't been afraid to ask the person the question, because you're sitting there all nice and calm. Oh, I can't ask him. He's the boss, and it's like, well, okay, I don't know. Sorry, I don't know that question, but can you tell me how would you do it so that I know for future? That will impress them as well. So again, it goes back to having a confidence in yourself and understanding, okay, I've made a mistake. Calling on someone to help you immediately. Don't try and, well, if I keep quiet, it'll fix itself, or we can push it onto someone else. Say, hey, I've made a mistake. We all make mistakes. So definitely, if you follow those tips, you will get a job doing what you love, and you'll keep your job. And not only that, the people that you work with will respect you. Even if you're a junior person, even senior management will talk about you, because it's something that's very rare in today's industry. Also, another thing is, if someone has shown you something and you fix it, say, hey, well done, Sai, you did an amazing job there. And say, yes, but Ryan showed me how to do this, or Jane showed me how to do this. So Jane deserves the credit. So again, giving credit where it's due will just, again, elevate you to a whole new level as well. Because at the end of the day, people then will share knowledge with you. People won't share knowledge with you if you start taking credit for all their work and not giving credit where it's due. Then you'll end up isolating yourself. So again, asking questions, giving credit where it's due, not being afraid to make a mistake. If you make a mistake, take ownership and say, right, show me how not to do this again. You'll keep your job, and people will hire you even if you have very little experience. So again, people are not going to hire you if they say to you, well, can you create a virtual machine? Here's a portal. And then people, you want me to create a virtual machine on your network? Yeah, go ahead and do it. I mean, companies do that. Obviously, you won't be able to break the network, because that's all been set up in the interview prior to you coming, so that they've got a little section for you. And they say, well, create a blob storage. And you can go, there you go, done. Or they might have a picture of something. What is this? And you can say, well, that's Storage Explorer in Azure. Or no, that's not Azure, that's AWS. Or no, that's not Linux, that's Windows. Because they'll say to you, well, how do you, I've typed ipconfig in Linux and I can't ping. Well, Linux doesn't use ipconfig, it uses ifconfig. So having an understanding of some of these things helps you in your interview. But like I say, when you go for a job with Azure, like I say, it's your first time as a solutions architect. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. If you make a mistake, put your hand up and say, I've made a mistake. Help. Show me what I did wrong. And not being afraid to ask the person who's interviewing you questions as well. How would you do this? Why are you doing it this way? That really tells the interview person that you want to work for their company. You're not just, yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir. It's, yes, he's asking questions about us. And so put them in the spot. Once they've answered your thing, you can say, well, how long has your company been, why are you working at this company? Don't be afraid to ask questions back. And again, that's what people are looking for. And there is, in my opinion, there is a big shortage of that type of person. There's a lot of people with IT qualifications. There are millions of them. In New Zealand, there are hundreds of thousands of them. Some of them will work in a job for 3 months, 4 months, and then they move on and they work here for 4 months. But if you want to really establish yourself and get a good reputation in your company and people who want to teach you, ask those questions and be humble as well and say, look, I don't know. Help me. I mean, I'm like that too. If I don't know something, I'll call somebody. Help. Oh, Ryan, you should know everything. I said, absolutely not. If I knew everything, do you think I'd be working in this job? I'd be somewhere else. I'd be rich, sitting on the beach. I said, none of us know everything. So it's always good to talk to somebody else. If I don't know something, I'll call you. You might say, hey, Ryan, this is how you do it. Or you might say, well, I don't know. Hey, Ryan, I spoke to a guy last week. He might be the right person to talk to. So this is why it's important. But yes, getting into the industry is, like I say, having the qualification is one thing. Having a little bit of hands-on experience is important, and having confidence, and yeah, you'll be good to go. But again, the best thing I can say to new people is play in Azure and create and delete stuff, and then you'll soon see errors will start popping up, and then you can say, well, how do I fix this? How do I fix that? And talk to other people. What common errors have you come across? Do a Google search, and you'll find there's a lot of things that have come across that will just stand you in good stead as opposed to the next person trying to get the same job.
So what are the errors that you got, that you faced, and how you fixed it?
Okay, a good example was with Azure, we deleted some old storage and I could not delete it, and I followed the Microsoft documentation and it didn't work. And I asked a whole lot of other people and it didn't work. So I thought, okay, it's not working. Let me step away. Went outside, had a coffee break, thought, let me think about it, get some fresh air. And I went back, and then after a bit of playing, I found out that I had to go and actually delete a service. Once I disassociated that service, that storage group could be deleted with no problem. And I made a note of it because I had 2 other people phone me not long afterwards. Hey, Ryan, I've got this problem. I'm like, I've just had that problem as well. And it's like, man, we need to get this fixed. I said, we've been struggling at it now for a day, 2 days. We still can't fix it. And then when I showed them the fix, it was 2 minutes. So I said, share the fix with somebody else. And so, yes, I mean, I've come across things where I've even made mistakes where I've accidentally deleted a policy and nobody could work. So you go quickly, I need to recover that policy. Well, I've deleted that policy. Well, okay, let's recreate it quickly. Well, how do I recreate it? What were the user's permissions and stuff? So you learn, and then you ask for help. And, let's get it from the backup. And then you go to the backup, and then the backup's not working. Like, why is the backup not working? Because things will happen at such a time that when you need it to work, it doesn't work. I mean, that's like that within life as well. Important things all of a sudden will crop up, and then you'll start having issues trying to fix those issues while you would say, well, I just need a bit more time to fix this, and you're under a lot of pressure to get it fixed, and you've got someone else chasing you for something else. So at the end of the day, it's just a case of just breathing, stepping back and saying, okay, I need help. Call someone straight away. And two heads are always better than one. So yeah, I've made so many mistakes. But again, I've learned from them over time, and I've tried to share my mistakes with the next person so that they don't make the same mistake. I mean, I've had another simple mistake that I made when earlier on in my career, I plugged a network cable into the switch, and I caused a loop back, and it caused 200 people to get knocked off the network straight away. And it took us and I forgot about it. I was like, everyone else is looking at everything else, and there was only down the line playing with, let's check the cabling. But if we checked the cabling the first time, or if I'd asked for help, I wouldn't have had that problem. But again, like I say, at the end of the day, you learn these things, and you say, okay, well, I don't do that again. But again, like I say, over time, you get more and more confident. And I'm not saying you don't make mistakes, you make less mistakes. But again, before you do stuff, you also kind of think about it. Okay, if I do this, what effect is it going to have on the next person? Let me put this into a sandbox environment and test it first before I do it live, so that I'm not going to break anything. And that's what a good engineer would do. They would test the whatever it is, like their application. Someone's designing a mobile app. You're not putting it live on our network straight away. You've got to be joking. Let's test it first in an isolated environment, and then we'll test it on 1 or 2 users. Okay, it's all working great. Now we'll deploy it. Because if you deploy it and it's got an issue, you've got hundreds of people to deal with to try and fix a problem where there shouldn't have been a problem, where someone had just taken the time to test something first before deploying it. Or if there's a mistake, I did this. Okay, that's why let's go quickly and fix that, because I now know what you did. Sometimes you'll say, well, what do you know? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? You just did it. I can't remember. So you kind of have those funny moments as well. But again, like I say, I learn from mistakes. I document stuff as I go along, because sometimes you think, well, I came across this, but I can't remember how to fix it. And you'll go to your documentation. There we go. Now I know how to fix it. So I have a little document folder that I have that's got all my little fixes and stuff, and they've served me so well no matter where I've gone. And again, being able to talk to somebody else and ask for help is important.
So, what is the toughest problem that you faced, and how you overcome it?
One of the toughest problem I would say that I faced was in the early days of Azure. We had to migrate an on-prem service into the cloud, and I worked with a third-party IT provider to help, because I had a lot of work, and they made a mistake, a very bad mistake, because in those days we had Exchange 2010 with public folders. And the public folders were limited by 50 gig storage size, and some of those public folders were 100 gigs each. So those public folders should have been split into 50 gig segments. Because the vendor or the IT solutions architect at that time didn't ask questions, went ahead and did that. And of course, it just would not work, and it caused a problem because there was not enough storage. So I had to go and run scripts to split that storage, which was not an overnight job, it was a weekend job, and then migrate the storage up as segments. Microsoft had tools for that. Had the solution architect used those tools and read some of the documentation, he would have avoided all those issues, because I had people that came to work on Monday and half the company couldn't get their email, right up from the managing director. Had no email because it was an Exchange issue. I also had, and so in order to fix that, like I said, we had to split the storage and then reload it up again. And another thing as well, one of the other issues we had was we were setting up MFA or multi-factor authentication, where you get a download an app, you put an app on your phone, and you can actually connect. You log on to your resource, because you'll get a code on your phone. You type that code into your logon box, and then you could log on and open up your email. And one of the issues that we faced was, again, the other person that I was working with was part of his job. But again, when you're working as a team, you don't blame an individual. It's you as a team. You're all in trouble because you should all be talking to each other. He downloaded the AWS authentication app, not the Microsoft. So of course it's not going to work. And of course, not bothering to check, like, well, this should work. And it was only afterwards I'm like, oh, hang on, we got the wrong app. Too late. He deployed it out to 250 people. So it's little things. A lot of the mistakes that were made could have been avoided due to, I would say, the team working a lot more closely and collaborating a lot smarter, as well as reading documentation. And again, it also comes down to trusting somebody as well to do their job. So you can trust somebody, but if there's a mistake and they don't tell you, you don't know until the mistake has happened. And even if the mistake has happened, trying to get hold of them, it was an issue because the guy that did the exchange stuff with the public folders, the next day he went on leave. So we couldn't even contact him. So it caused a lot of strife. So, and he didn't document stuff properly. So it was only going after I'd gone through the documentation. I was like, okay, this is what the problem is, and this is how we fix it. And again, Microsoft have been great, because I've had issues where sometimes you phone Microsoft, and then they'll give you some good pointers. But again, bear in mind, when you phone Microsoft, it's not free. They charge you. So that's why whenever I have issues, 90% of the time, I always talk to other IT engineers who've been there and done it. Because sometimes I could be talking to someone on the help desk who knows nothing. So I'm just wasting my time and effort. And you soon realize quickly I'm talking to someone that doesn't know something. So then stop the conversation and get hold of somebody that does. And there are a lot of talented people out there that are so willing to help. So that's why it's important having connections. But yes, I've made mistakes, and that's how I fix them. And the biggest one, like I say, was that when you've got 250 people that can't get email, including the managing director, your life will become interesting very quickly.
What is the minimum time and the maximum time of the problems that you fixed?
Well, when we have problems in the real world, the quicker you can fix them, the better it is, because the longer your company is down, it's costing the company money and business. So some of the problems can be fixed almost instantaneously within an hour, 20 minutes. Some of them can take a day or two. And if a problem's going to take a day or two, you need to almost immediately find another solution so that somebody can at least work while you fix their problem. So again, that's a hard one to answer, because it depends on the problem, and every problem is different, and the time frames could be different. But again, one of the nice things, like say with Azure Cloud, we have a 99.9% availability. So a lot of the problems that we have on-prem have disappeared by moving into the cloud, therefore reducing downtime and costs for the company. Because that's where the issue comes into it at the end of the day, is when people are down, they can't do their work. And with a contact center, for example, or a call center, I did work for another company. I can't tell you the company name, but you'll look on TV and say, phone this number and buy this one and get this one free, 0800 number, and we've got this special going, buy this gym equipment, and hang on, we'll give you this one for free, and if you call now, 20 minutes. So I worked for a company that did that type of thing. So obviously being down with email or phones, every call that's coming to us is a potential sale. And and every email is a potential sale. So when that doesn't happen, we have people going down. So that's where I had a backup server. Very quickly switched over to the backup because a hard drive had failed in that server. And within a space of 2 minutes, well, not 2 minutes, 15 minutes, they were up and running again, and everything was working fine. But had I not had that backup server down, they would have been down for days, had that solution not been put in place. And when I said we need to put the solution in place, initially I had a lot of kickback. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of time. We don't need to do that. I said, but if something goes wrong, we need to get out of hot water quickly. Thank goodness the managing director of that company said, once I explained to him, this is what it's for. He was a bit reluctant, but he said, okay, look, I'll put one in. And then when that solution kicked in, and I said to him, that's why your network went down. He says, I'm so glad I listened to you. I'm so glad I listened to you, because we could have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in business, which is a small cost compared to having that solution in place. So again, I know guys who haven't done, this happened to another guy yesterday, funny enough. He had no backups, and his server crashed, and they've been down now for 2 days. 60 staff haven't been able to work properly. All they can do is email. And I said to him, you need to move your stuff into Azure. And he's like, yeah, but it is in Azure. I said, so where are your backups? No. Don't you have backups? Somebody forgot to configure the backups. Someone thought the backups were running because somebody else said they did the backups, but they didn't do the backups, or they said they're going to do it and they didn't get around to doing it. So, of course, everybody thought there was backups happening. Meanwhile, there were no backups happening. None at all. So sometimes things like that you hear and you think, oh, my word, that's just a story. That doesn't really happen in the real world. Yes, it does. It happened yesterday to somebody, and he's learned a very, very hard lesson. I mean, has he been fired? No. But he's been obviously reprimanded quite severely because, but at the end of the day, reprimanding and shouting at someone's not going to fix the problem. They need to get the problem fixed quickly. So, and I said to him, if you had your backups in place, it would have been literally a couple of seconds. You could have switched over and the users wouldn't have known. So I said, again, he's also got a mixed environment. He's got some stuff in Azure and some on-prem. And I said to him, this also now should be a sign to move everything into the cloud. I mean, he's just old school. He just doesn't want to move some stuff into the cloud. He can. There's nothing to stop him from doing it. All his applications that have will work absolutely fine in the cloud. I think, I don't know what their reasons are, but I think it's brought home to them just how crucial it is to have backup. So yeah, and like I said, they've been down for 2 days, and we're now Saturday morning. And I just got a text now. That's why I was looking down at my phone. He's just now starting to bring stuff up now. So it's 2.5 days. And when I mean 2 days, let's count day and night. So yeah, he's 48 hours. He's been down for a simple thing that could have been avoided. So sometimes companies can close or because they lose all the information. I mean, a good example, I can give you a previous company I worked for. We had some physical servers, and I did all the backups, and I always take backups off-site. We had a power failure that fried the server, and it fried the server that had all the financial information for the past 10 years. And luckily, I had some backups, and I was able to recover, but I couldn't recover because it happened when I was on leave. The time for someone to contact me for the time, and also the retention period of the backup. So there was like a week or 2 weeks data missing because somebody had lost the other tape or whatever. But anyway, I managed to get the latest one at that stage, which meant there was about a week of data out. So we managed to restore the backup to that week. Had someone continuously monitored those backups, it would have only been a one day or a couple of hours. But again, it goes back to what is the problem, what's caused the problem. The moment there's a severity, is letting the people right at the top of the food chain, the managers and managing directors, let them know we have a major outage, and we are doing our best to fix it. I mean, people say, oh, but people shouldn't have outage. Look at Azure. Azure had an outage not so long ago, where they were upgrading their DNS service, and it kicked the whole of Australia and parts of Asia Pacific couldn't access Azure. It was down. Regions were down. And someone said, oh, that doesn't happen. They were down. I mean, there's a thing on the Microsoft website, and they were down. And the moment they were down, I said, and we were part of that, so part of our services went down. But luckily, it wasn't critical services. And again, I have to give Microsoft credit. They worked really quick to resolve the issue. So we were only down for some hours, not days or weeks. And people say, oh, you see, that Microsoft, everything doesn't work properly, because everybody likes to blame Microsoft and something doesn't go wrong. But then you look at AWS. AWS had an outage as well. And late last year, Google, nobody could access Gmail worldwide. They had an outage as well. So it just goes to show you, no matter how big your company is or how many billions of dollars you have behind you, the IT infrastructure, again, if it's not managed or maintained, we do have issues that cause outages, that can cause companies to close permanently, or it can cause companies to lose revenue. So being down is an impact. So it's your job as the solutions architect or as the IT person to find the issue immediately and fix it. And don't go and look in a book, because the book's not going to tell you how to fix the problem. Your little brain is going to tell you how to fix the problem. Your networking and friends in IT and your team working together as a team will help you resolve the issues. But I find that one of the key factors in being down is notifying everyone and saying, look, guys, or look, everyone, we have this issue and we're working as fast as we can to resolve it. If people know what's going on, they're more tolerant with the situation, as opposed to, I don't know what's going on. What's going on? Oh, these stupid people in IT again. You see, this is IT. I told you these techs. You see, they just do their own thing, but they don't realize what's happening. But if you communicate, look, you don't have to tell them the problem. So look, we've got an IT issue that's caused a major outage, and we are working to resolve the issue as quick as possible. At least people know, yeah, we know about it, there's an issue, and then notifying them again when the issue's been resolved. So again, it all depends. I've been down, like I say, a couple of seconds. I've had issues, like I say, the nice thing with Azure, we had an issue where one of our Azure servers fell over for some reason, but because I had it in a scale set, literally within seconds, microseconds, it had switched over and load balanced it to the another. So the users did not even know there was an issue. Management didn't even know there was an issue. The only people that knew there was an issue was IT. I mean, even the managing director didn't know there was an issue. Only when we had our weekly meetings, we brought it up, because they need to be aware of what's happening, because they're important people, but they did not know there was an issue, and that's how IT should work. And it goes about planning. Again, we do have train smashes, we do have disasters, and what do we have in plan to mitigate those disasters? You can only mitigate things as far as you can. I mean, a good example would be, you can get in your car, you can have your seatbelt on, you can have all the correct, your tires can be good, your engine can be good, but if someone runs a stoplight and smashes into your car, is that your fault? No, and it's the same thing with IT. You can only mitigate so much, and then the rest is, well, look, we've done everything we can to try and minimize the impact, but sometimes some things are beyond your control. I mean, and a very good one that happens often in New Zealand is we've had, for example, our whole internet go down. Well, that's the ISP, some guy at the road, they were digging up the road, and with the digger, he ripped up the fiber out of the road, and like 50 or 60 businesses have all gone down on our road, because we've got no internet. So I can't fix that. we have to wait for Vodafone or Telecom or whoever it is to fix that fiber connection. And they were pretty good. I mean, they worked and got it fixed in a couple of hours. But at the end of the day, like I say, it's those things that are beyond your control where you can just say, well, yeah, nothing to do. And that's one of the drawbacks of having your stuff in the cloud is if you don't have an internet connection, you can't access your information. But again, internet's everywhere, so yes.
So, what is the time period of the backup? How much, like you said, you gave an example, a company lost its data and you recovered it, luckily. Like that, how much the time period it will be there in the, if you take a backup. Recently I saw one case recently. One company have lost their data. They didn't pay the bill on time, so they lost their data. And when they asked after 15 or 20 days, the company said, sorry, you have completely lost. Even they paid for the recovery option. There was a recovery option. They paid for it, and still they failed in getting the information of their website, of their blog, which was there for like 3 to 4 years. Content was smashed. It was completely technical content. It was gone, and the company failed in giving it. So
okay, that's in my personal opinion, that's unacceptable, because if the companies that's hosting their blog, they would have backups. They would have backups. And for them to say that they don't have a backup is very, very bad. Because I've had the same issue that you're talking about happen to me personally, where our company website, same thing happened. Not that we didn't pay, something happened and we couldn't access it, or I can't remember what it was, but they recovered it from a backup. But I had to fight and jump up and down and scream like a mad person to get it resolved. That's why I've learned the hard way that if you've got your blog or your website, if you've got access to and you've got admin privileges, always take your own backup. Because at the end of the day, you've got it. So even if something does happen, you can just take your whole website and put it on another platform. Because there are issues out there, or there are vendors out there that say they back up stuff and they don't. I mean, I had that same scenario happen with another company where they were using a third-party product to back up their virtual machines into the cloud, and then their physical server fell over, so they needed to bring down a copy to restore that virtual machine, and there was no backup. And then when they contacted the backup people, they said, oh yeah, they lost their backups, they've had an issue. What do you do? They really don't care, because they don't understand the situation or the gravity of the situation in terms of having backups. And yes, there are some good backup providers that do offer a service. But at the end of the day, my advice would be always, and I've learned this the hard way many times, I always have a local copy of my backup data so that I can have access to that data when I need it. Even though backups are running successfully, I always have a backup with a backup. Some people have a backup with a backup with a backup, and it's just because they've learned the hard way. And I always have 3 backups, because you may backup your data, but during the backup process, for some reason, a table or a sector of the backup gets corrupted or messed. It'll say the backup's completed successfully, but then when you try to restore the backup, you get errors saying the backup couldn't be restored. And that's happened to me personally at a company where I was using a third-party product, and it said it backed up successfully. All the backups were running perfect. I thought, that's great. Went to restore backup, and I couldn't restore it. So I thought, let me check the other backups. And I found a lot of the backups. I got hold of the vendor. I said to them, your product, something wrong with the product here, because they're saying it's backing up the data, but when I'm restoring it, then there was all sorts of stories why, and this, and oh, you need to download this update and that update. I said, I've done all that, and it still didn't work. So it's about getting a good backup solution in place. Again, Azure backup for the cloud is really good because you can retain backups for up to 10 years. Or you can, and like I said, if your friend's got his blob site, it's so easy. All you do is create a little blob storage, and you run the backup straight to that. Blob storage is cheap, really, really cheap, a couple of cents a month for blob, and you back up your data there, and you can retain. Azure allows you to retain your backups for 999 years. Not that you're going to be around that long, but you can do that, because I just wanted to see if you could, and you can. But I mean, most companies today require backups to keep them for at least 5 to 10 years for compliance and issues and stuff. So if your backup policies are being set up, that's great. But I always say this to everyone. Yes, it says the backup's completed. Test the backup. Once you've done the backup, test that you can access that backup, that you can recover from that backup. Because what's the point of doing all these backups and you can't recover from them because there's some error or there's something wrong with the way the backup was taken? So as an IT person, I would always say, whenever you're doing a backup, do a test. Also, what I do with our company is once every 6 months, I run out of office, I run what I call a DR test, which is a disaster recovery test. I kind of say, okay, well, our building's burnt down. Right, how long is it going to take to restore the infrastructure? And I restore it to a duplicate site, and I time it and see, okay, well, this is going to take 24 hours, or hey, this took 6 hours to restore. And so then I know if there's an issue, we can do that. There was a very well-known company. I don't know if you heard in New Zealand when we had the Christchurch earthquakes, where we had a lot of companies were having their data being backed up by this third-party provider. And when the earthquake happened, they went to the third-party provider and said, right, we need our backups. None of the backups worked for all of them. That company's out of business. And some of the companies, because they couldn't get their data, have gone out of business because they needed financial data for taxes and stuff. It was in the newspaper, it was on TV here, it was terrible. It was national news here because of people offering services. And then I don't know why their things went down, obviously for legal reasons you can't go into. People will never know the real reason why. But I always say, as an IT professional, you have your daily backups, you have weekly backups, you have monthly backups, you have hourly backups, where you can back up every hour. But remember, when you're backing up data, it's consuming storage. And it all depends on how much storage you have. And how often you need to have those backups. So I have backup policies in place for certain data, like our financial data is backed up every hour. So critical data is backed up every hour. It does a full backup, then it does incremental backups, and then I archive that backup off into cold storage. So if something goes bump, they've only lost 1 hour's worth of data, as opposed to days. I mean, you could have backups running continuously, but nobody does that, and that's insane to do that. So depending on your environment, you would have, again, when a backup runs, it also slows the network down as well. Slows down the applications that the people are working in. And I mean, there's a lot of companies that do backup software and recovery software. I mean, Azure is not the only backup solution. You have Shadow Protect, where you can download an appliance or StorageCraft, Shadow Protect StorageCraft. Do backups. You have mailme as well, which do backups. You have Veritas. You have Semantic. So there's so many solutions out there. I would say you need to find a solution that suits your needs, because I may prefer to use the Azure backup solution because it's cheap and it's good and it's robust. You may say, no, I want to use Semantic. and because that's what you've used and you're happy with that, then you may be happy to pay for the subscription. And a lot of backup technologies can now plug into Azure. So you may say, well, I don't want to use the Azure backup. I want to use a backup that I'm familiar with. I'm familiar with StorageCraft. You can then StorageCraft do backup to the cloud. And StorageCraft is an amazing product. And I'm saying that not to promote them, because I've used it in the past. And it's got me out of hot water so many times. I've lost count. And again, the Azure backup service is absolutely amazing. I've restored files for people within seconds, literally seconds. Before you can count to 10, their files are back on their desktop in their folder. So it's all about, like you say, coming right back to your question at the beginning of the interview, and what is a solutions architect's role? What does he do? What is he responsible for? So it's again, one of the things are backups. But he doesn't manage the backups. Your team would manage it, or the IT department. Then it's like, who are we going to delegate to manage those backups? I'm going to delegate them to you. But if you don't do the backups, or you don't manage them, then the backups are going to, they're just not going to work. And it's your job to test that the backup works. But yes, with what happened with your friend, that's very, very sad and very unprofessional. And I find it surprising that they don't have a copy of his blog. They should have. I would get him to just harass them a bit. You'll be surprised by what you can do by harassing somebody. It lights a fire underneath them and it gets them going. But again, sometimes you might just have to throw up your hands and say, well, it is what it is, and you just move forward and say, well, I've learned a hard lesson.
So actually, the problem is faced by me. I lost the blog.
Oh, you lost it. Okay,
Yeah.
who were you with?
I hosted. I don't know whether to tell the company in video or not, but I'm telling I hosted my website in a particular hosting company. I trusted that company. I was connected with that company maybe from 2016, and I lost it in 2020, last year.
Oh, shucks.
So that the name of my domain was Smart CSE. Smart CSE means Computer Science and Engineering.
Yeah.
So smartcsc.com I took, and I used to get a lot of traffic. It went very fast. A lot of people. I converted that website into app, and it was in Google Store also, and I got 5,000 downloads.
Wow, awesome.
For that technical blog, and I became the technical writer at the same time. I used to explain these networking topics: what is router,
Yes.
what is switch, what is how the computer networks work. I took a lot of time using Pixie Bay. I took some pictures from that free collection, and I created my own images to explain the concepts in order to the viewer can if they see the picture they should understand that. So in that way I have explained each and every topic of computer networks, and that was one of my favorite topics.
Yes.
So I and also the beautiful thing is the subject computer networks, which I explained in my website and which was there in my app also. My professor from my college, from my she asked the material, that was explained in that in very easy way.
Wow, nice.
Which even the new beginners, the graduates who are into studies, they can understand. So she asked that. So I said, you can take that material, you can use my app, and you can learn from it. So that is how that was, and I lost it, and that was, I was in what you said, that torture or whatever you said. That was my mind state for 2 to 3 months. It was like it 3 to 4 years. I spent time on it, and I thought to make it more bigger. I thought to do PhD. I have completed masters. I thought to do PhD, doctorate. So I thought it will be useful for people, and at the same time, while writing, it will be helpful for me also. I can remember everything, how each service works, each system works. So
Yes.
like that. So I lost it, and I asked the service provider, and they said, sorry, sir, we can't. So then I tried in other data center in England. I contacted them. They said, give me three, they said, you will get in 3 to 4 days. And first time I contacted my country service provider. Uh, I asked them to give the backup. I paid the recovery amount also.
Mm-hmm.
I paid. It was like very big amount,
Yes,
and
it
they
would be.
said
Yeah.
we can't give you the complete backup. We will give you. There is only partial backup. They said partial backup. What is partial backup?
What is a
Partial.
partial backup? It
Yeah.
should have
What
a
is
full
partial?
backup. Yes.
What what is partial backup? I asked. It may be like 5%, it may be 2%, or it may be 50%, or it may be 90%, or it may be zero. So like that. What is the use of? What is the benefit of getting buying that? So I said,
Yes.
sorry, sir, your website was not backed up. So they said that like that. Okay, whatever. I'm in trauma now. Give whatever I'm ready to pay. How much amount? I'm going to give you a lot of money. Please try to get from any other source where you will be having a lot of sources, right? So
Yes.
right. So you try to. So they said you have to do it manually. You didn't do it. So I said I don't know it. I don't know before. I should take the backup in my system. And one of my friend who works in US said me while hosting a blog, but I didn't took that seriously.
Mm.
But after losing it, I came to know the importance of the backup. Then I
Yes.
decided now my blogs are there. Now it is in 5 places.
I mean, yes. I mean, absolutely. You do that. I mean, I've done that as well. You have it in so many places because so many people say, yes, this is happening. The backups are working. You go and recover it, and then nothing works. Or but like say, as a website, like say with your blog, your stuff should still be there. I mean, the fact that you didn't pay is irrelevant. The fact is that even if your website went dormant, it's not being deleted. Are you with me? It hasn't been deleted. It's still there. Why can't they just reactivate it? Then your blog will be back there. So, no one's deleted anything. You caused the problem. Not you. I mean, the hosting provider. You can say you're the one that thing. Because, yes, I may have a website called whatever. If I haven't paid and I pay and it comes on again and my data is missing, where was my data before? So you guys have done something, nothing you've done. But again, that comes back to them. They won't take ownership. A lot of people are quite happy to take your money, and then they give you all sorts of nonsense, and then you get frustrated and you get upset with life because I agree with you, spending 1 year, 2 years, it's a lot of time creating that content, a lot of hours, hundreds and hundreds of hours of time sitting down there, getting the right pictures for the right screenshots, explaining something. And then when something silly like this happens, for the hosting provider not to come to the party is just unacceptable. It's just unprofessional at the end of the day. And
But
it's
even I cannot say to my technical friends or mates, because they'll say you don't know this small thing to take the backup.
yeah,
You have a
you're
technical
useless.
backup.
You'll never live it down.
I
Yes,
cannot share this. I cannot
yes,
share this. You are so irresponsible, man. You have 3 to 4 years of content, and you are like professional content creator, professional tech content creator. You know how to host it. You know how to send your blog links to the Google console, and you're maintaining that from
yes.
last these years, and you know how to share your things in all the social networks, and you know your targeted audience, and you know everything. But
But again,
you
it,
you
it wasn't even your responsibility to do a backup for your site. I mean, if you go to a website, when you create your website, I mean, your website's being hosted by, I don't know, TDM or Domains or whoever it is, or GoDaddy. You know, once your website is there, it's their responsibility to make sure everything is working. I mean, it's your responsibility to make sure, okay, well, do I have a certificate to make sure my data is secure? There's nothing there that says you have to back up your website. If you go look at the documentation, where in the documentation does it say, oh, by the way, you're creating a blog, you're responsible for your own backup? Does it say that in the documentation? It doesn't. So you don't, because it's because you know it. And then when they say, oh well, it's your responsibility, you say no, it's not my responsibility. Where in the documentation does it say it's my responsibility? It's your responsibility. It's not mine. And I mean, another way to get them going, I would say is, and I've done this and this works, is say, right, I'm going to go onto Facebook, I'm going to go onto LinkedIn, I'm going to go to YouTube, I'm going to go to all the social media, I'm going to tell them what a crap service you offer me. I'm going to tell them how bad you are. Let me tell you, within a few days, everything will be fixed. And I get so angry because you don't have, why do you have to threaten someone to that extent to get what's yours? It's not their content, it's mine. And again, if you look at your blog thing, where does it say you have to back up your website? If you go and create a website now at any hosting provider, where does it say you're responsible for the backup? So you can turn around and say, I didn't see that in any of the documentation. Show me. Show me in the documentation where it says I'm responsible for the backup. As far as I'm concerned, I'm paying you to host it, so it's your responsibility. Yes, it's my responsibility if you want to modify or change content, but it's, yeah.
And I'm thankful for them because I got angry. I'm thankful to that hosting service provider, because I got angry and I decided to start another two blogs and another two apps. And I never shown my face and came to YouTube before. I was a blogger. I was behind camera, but I wanted my content to go more faster to the audience, and I want to learn more. At the same time, I want to give what I know. Then that failure, that hard hit, made me start a YouTube channel and made me to do 350, 380 plus interviews and got a lot of reputation. My name is everywhere in the world now. And I started a technical YouTube channel, and I got the opportunity to talk with the 18 years solution architect today, who's in front of me now.
I mean, it's amazing how bad circumstances bring about good things if you're positive. And I mean, the reason your channel is so successful is because of you. Because you ask the right questions, you make the person feel comfortable. But again, the interviews you do and the things you talk about are so relevant in today's world. And like I say, it's good. I mean, the more people we have like you out there interviewing, sharing the knowledge, the more other IT professionals or any industry professionals can share their tips and tricks with the next person. Just makes life easier for the other person. And hopefully, as you share, we all learn. I mean, it's the same like YouTube. I mean, where does YouTube say that you have to back up your data? So, so that's why it's always good to have a copy of your videos, download them into a folder, keep them on your little home server or PC somewhere. And so if something does happen, for you to restore back won't take long at all, and you'll be up and running again. So there are so many things that you learn the hard way, where you kind of say, well, now I know not what I need to do to protect myself. In my opinion, we shouldn't have to do that, but because of the way things have evolved in the industry and in IT, we have no choice but to say, well, this happened to me. I'm not going to let it happen again. So I'm going to have my data in 10 different places. I don't care. You know, I want a backup for the backup for the backup. And people will laugh at you. But when something goes wrong, trust me, you will be so happy you did that. And it's a bit of a pain getting it all set up. And once it's done, you say, that's fine, I'm all good. Then things won't, you won't look back.
You made me feel comfortable by saying that you don't need to feel shy, or you don't need to feel bad to ask questions or to tell your mistakes and to learn from the mistakes. You know, we all do mistakes. So that's why I felt comfortable. That's why I shared this. I never shared this with any IT professional because I feel that they may look at me very narrow way because
you are right. There are some IT people who just think they know everything, and they will laugh at you. How can you make a mistake like this? And some of them will even try and ridicule you. But then I say to them, so I want to ask you one simple question. Were you born clever? So you were an expert from day one, were you? You've never made any mistakes? Can you show me the mistakes that you've not made? And then let's talk. And that's, that'll shut them up. A lot of other IT engineers would be so supportive with you. And, they'll have nothing but good things to say because it happens to everybody. And these people say, oh, but you're an IT person, you should know better. Well, circumstances, the environment, things happen. So my philosophy is, so you've never made any mistakes, Mr. Perfect or Miss Perfect, and that just ends the conversation straight away. So when someone says, oh, he should have done that, look at him, he didn't do that, look, he's hosting this and he's hosting that. I mean, how he didn't even do the backup. I mean, like when our backups went missing, even though someone else was doing it, I took responsibility because that person worked underneath me. Oh, well, he should have made sure that he did their backups and that. So I kind of grabbed everyone together and I said, right, guys, everyone here, and I'm quite vocal. So everyone here has never made a mistake in their life. It's really good to work amongst people that are so perfect. So you've never made any mistakes in your life. You've never made any stupid mistakes in your life. I guarantee you they've made hundreds and they won't tell anyone. And the reason people don't, because they don't want to be ridiculed. Because there are some nasty people out there that will ridicule you and troll you and just be ugly because they've got nothing else better to do in their life than just cause misery to other people. But then on the flip side, there are so many people that are supportive. And let me tell you, you won't be the first and you won't be the last person that this has happened to. It happens continuously. The reason we don't hear a lot about it is because people don't want to say they've made a mistake because they're scared. Oh, well, you're going to laugh at me because I made a stupid mistake. First of all, it wasn't your mistake. Secondly, life happens, and you move forward. And at the end of the day, your mistakes are trivial compared to other people. Let me tell you, I've heard some really bad things. Your mistake is trivial compared to what other people have done. And again, a lot of mistakes in IT, in the corporate industry, in the workplace, people don't talk a lot about them because, again, they don't want to be made fun of. And some of them have made some real stupid mistakes. I know guys that have actually deleted live virtual servers with data on because they thought they didn't need them without asking. And they had no backup. So at the end of the day, like I say, you're doing a great job. You're really good at what you do. And, I've got nothing but respect for you and for what you've done for other people and how you've helped other people and how you've started all over again. That's just an amazing feat on its own. And the dedication and the hard work it takes just to do interviews or just to get people to talk is a really hard thing, especially strange people that you've never met. It really is tough. And if anyone says, well, it's not that hard, well, let them do it and see. So the dedication and the time and the effort that you put in needs to be rewarded. And like I said, I know from just chatting to you, you've done an amazing job, a really first-class job. And I will pass your name on to so many other IT guys as well, and say, this is a good guy to talk to if you want to know more. I can pass names on to you as well, so that you can talk to other people. But like I say, at the end of the day, you don't need to feel bad, because, like I say, people have done a lot worse. And at the end of the day, we all make mistakes. I've made mistakes. You'll make, and this won't be your first and last mistake either. In the future we'll make more mistakes, but we try and learn from them and try to mitigate them where we can. But yeah, if someone tries to laugh at you or criticize you, just say to them, so you've never made a single mistake in your life, and you were born clever. You knew everything from day one. Straight away, it will shut them up. And I mean, again, the reason you're doing so well is because you have confidence. I mean, and it's a hard blow to take when you've lost all of that work. It really is crushing, because I've been down that road where you have to start all over again, and you go, oh my word, this is just going to be so hard to do, because it takes time away from your family, your friends, and it is hard work. And yeah, I'm really commended by the way you do things, and the questions you ask. So yeah, your channel's just gonna explode. Trust me. You think it's big now? Wait until, the word will spread very quickly, and before you know it, you'll be very, very well known. You'll be interviewing more important people than me. I'll be at the bottom of the food chain.
Still I get messages from few people who are still trying to install that app in their devices. I have from different parts of my country. They are trying to, and they are saying that I cannot install this app. I was in the middle. My topics was in the series. After this, after this. So I was in the series. I was stuck. So I have, I'll get tears when I see that kind of messages. I don't know what to do. But you saying, you inspiring me. I'm feeling little good. But still, when you have time, just go and see. There will be screenshots of my websites in archives.org. Something. One
Yes.
of my blogging friends said that www.smartcsc.com, where you will see on every featured image, you will see my picture. I want that to be my own content, my stamp one. I don't, and I used to use a lot of softwares in order to scan that and tell me that how unique it is. My every topic is 99 to 100% unique. Nobody uses the same words in the internet. So I got Google AdSense approval. If you know about Google AdSense.
Yes, I know a little bit about it, but not a lot. Yeah.
Only when your website have 30 articles and which is completely unique, they will approve your website, and they will allow you to put their ads on your website, and then when visitors come then to your website and views them, you will get revenue. So like that, I got approval only in 1 month because of the uniqueness that I have.
That's very good. I mean, and that's again coming back to you. At the end of the day, the way you've laid out things, the way you've structured your content. So that's really good at the end of the day. And like I say, at the end of the day, you just, you focus on you, and you'll see you'll grow. Because if you start focusing on what other people say about you, negative things, then it will crush you. But if you focus on the positive and say, yep, I mean, like my training videos, I only started my YouTube channel. It's only been going 7 months, and my blog again is less than a year. Because I thought, well, let me share knowledge with people, and I've had some people come back and they said absolutely great stuff, and I've had one or two who've complained how useless and bad everything is. I'm like, well, you don't have to watch it. It's up to you. You're entitled to your opinion. I hope you know, I wish you the best. I don't wish you any bad things to you. You know, everyone, you know, you either like it or you don't. You know, it's up to you at the end of the day. And I think when you slowly become a success, you also get people who have been doing this for years and they haven't achieved what you've achieved in a short time. So sometimes people also get a bit jealous and they have nothing but bad things to say. And like I said, you just ignore those comments or say, okay, thank you for your comment. Appreciate your view and move on. Don't take stuff personally, because then you get into a match. I mean, one guy on the LinkedIn was complaining how useless Microsoft Azure is and how terrible it is and the cloud's a waste of time and everything is bad. And I said, well, you know, you're entitled to your opinion, but whether you like it or not, the cloud is here to stay. The technology is here. We need to learn to adapt and use it. But again, that's up to you. And if you want to live in the Stone Age, then carry on. You know, at the end of the day, you may not like it. I don't know your reasons why, but it's something that you have to adapt to. You know, it's as simple as that. I mean, you may have a broken finger. You don't like it. Life's uncomfortable, but it's got to be bandaged up and to heal, and so that you can move forward. And technology, in a way, is the same thing. It changes. Everything changes over time. And there are so many people out there like yourself and other people who put amazing content out there for people to share. And trust me, there are thousands and thousands of people who appreciate what you do, even though you may not see them. But in the background, let me tell you, the word is spreading, and you know, you'll look back at the end of the year and you'll see, wow, how many people have you had now? I mean, if you look now, how many people you've got, and then you have to start again. If someone said to you, oh, doing this YouTube thing is no good. I mean, some people even try to deter you. Oh, no, why do you want to do that? Because you may discuss it with family or friends. Oh, I'm wanting to do this. And oh, that's not a good idea. There's so many people doing it. You know, you're not going to succeed. And that's bad of them, because, you know, at the end of the day, you've got a will or a desire to do something. And people should, you know, be supportive. I mean, like when I started my thing, I said, you know, I'm going to do this. I had a lot of negative thing. Oh, there's so many people doing training videos. I said, I'm not charging them. I just want to share information and share the knowledge, because if I can help people learn something or show them how to do something very quickly, they may be working on Azure at work and may need to recover something. They can do it very quickly by just watching a 10-minute video or a 20-minute video. It'll give them an understanding of how to do stuff. If I help one person out of 1 million, I've helped one person. And like I say, it's been amazing. I have on my YouTube channel now over 870 full-time subscribers. I have 14,000 views on my videos, and wow. I have 7,500 likes.
Wow.
And it's growing, and it's not even a year. I mean, it's 7 months old. So those people that say to you, that's not going to work, I kind of say, well, that's up to you. There's so many people that will benefit from your knowledge. I mean, you doing interviews like this, you have no idea the impact you're going to have on people's careers in IT or whatever they want to do, because by talking to people like me and other IT people that can share their knowledge, you have just given them confidence. I've had people who saying, you know, I want to do IT, but I'm not clever enough. I've been told I'm not clever enough to do IT. And I said to them, who told you you're not clever enough? Anybody can learn. I said, if you can read and you can write, I can teach you. And that person is now a qualified Azure fundamental, they passed the exam and they've got their first job. And they came back, oh, I owe you this and I owe you. I said, you don't owe me nothing. I said, you did all the hard work. You owe yourself. You worked hard. You deserve the credit, not anybody else. And they said, you've given me confidence to do stuff that I couldn't do before. And that's the same like your interviews. People will watch your interviews and they will say, I really want to, this person is inspiring me, because everybody inspires everybody in some way, shape or form. I mean, you look at your professor, can I borrow stuff from your blog? Wow, that's an amazing compliment. That's an amazing compliment. So at the end of the day, like I say, it's all about sharing the knowledge. Again, we make mistakes and we move forward. And some people may say, well, that's wrong. This is how you do it. Oh, thanks. Thanks for showing me how to do that. I mean, and then you get some people who go, oh, that's a waste of time. Well, that's fine. You don't have to watch the blog. But then there'll be hundreds of others who will just say, that is awesome. That's exactly what I was looking for. Because you are catering to such a unique market, like with what you're doing. I don't know anybody that's doing what you're doing. You're the first person I know that's doing this type of thing, and I think it's an amazing thing. I think if it should have been, in my opinion, it should have been done a long time ago, because these interviews that you do and these interviews that you share with people will inspire them. And I say to anybody out there that wants to do anything in life, have confidence and don't let anybody push you down. You know where you want to go. And it's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. You may take 5 steps forward and 1 step back. But stick your head down. As I said, everyone, there's light at the end of the tunnel. It's not a train. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Great things will happen. Just be patient. It doesn't happen overnight, and that's the thing with today's environment. Everybody wants something instantly. I want to become an instant YouTube star. I want to be an instant expert in Azure. I want to be an expert in interviewing. I want to be an expert in blogging. Well, hang on. Those people like yourself, you've been doing it for years, not 1 month. For years and years. And not only that, you'd have to sit down and think, what topics do you want to cover? What is it you want to do? And then you'll write your blog and say, well, that's not right. Let me go back and change some things. So there's a lot of hard work that goes into it before it even gets published. And you may publish it and you may get one person reading it, then you may get 10,000 people reading it. So again, if you have a look at Henry Ford, he had 7 failed businesses before he became famous, before he created Ford. He went bankrupt 7 times. Edison, 15 times. Einstein was rejected from major universities saying he's not clever enough. His school teacher said to him, he doesn't have the brains he doesn't have the mental capacity to do what he wants to do. They should actually take him out. They told his parents he should actually leave school because he's not capable. That's Einstein. He got a letter from a well-known university in Germany saying, we regret you, but you don't have the standards to, and look at him. He said, well, I will stick my head down and I'll do what I need to do. So at the end of the day, it goes back to just saying, I know I can do this, and having confidence. I mean, you'll have your good days and you'll have your bad days, but at the end of the day, the sun always shines. And this was, the clouds are dark. Yep, but the sun always shines above the clouds. We can't see it because the clouds are nowhere. The fog is in our face. We're focusing on the fog. Forget the fog. Stop focusing on the fog. Focus on you and what you are doing and continue to grind away and produce your content. I mean, I've had people from Linux Academy, A Cloud Guru, and Pluralsight, instructors, have said, Ryan, you're doing an amazing job on your videos. Keep going. You are helping people. And they contacted me. I mean, one of the instructors, Chase Dovey, who I've become good friends with, he's one of the main instructors at A Cloud Guru, and he says, you're doing a good job. I mean, Cloud Guru said to me, would I be interested in producing training videos for them? So I said, well, at this moment, not currently, because I'm focusing on, I've got a few more Azure certifications I'm focusing on. So I've got a lot of other stuff to do. And I was like, wow, those famous people, in the community getting hold of me. Who am I? I'm a nobody. I'm a nothing. I'm on the bottom of the food chain. I'm the small fish in the tank. Uh, but it just goes to show that people see your content and they see what you do and they see the impact. And like you say, with new users wanting to get into IT, they'll have their friends saying, oh, there's so many people doing IT. Why do you want to do that? You should get another job. You know in your heart what you want to do. And if you want to do IT, like I said, there's so many people that will help you succeed, and with your channel as well. Once you'll see, like I say, you'll look at the end of the year and you'll go, wow, look where I am and look where I am now. So, like I say, at the end of the day, we all have different qualities, and we all can contribute in ways to help other people. And I always focus on the positive, because being negative is such a bad place to be. And there are people who've got nothing else but negative things to say. Oh, well, your interview could have been better. You could have done this. You could have done that. I mean, like I say, the most important thing, and like I say, one of the major qualities that you have is that you make people feel comfortable. We've never met, but yet we're talking like we're old friends. So having that quality is amazing. Not many people have that, to make somebody feel comfortable and just, right, let's chat and explain and let's talk about stuff. To get someone to do that, it takes talent and skill. It's not something that you just can, I'll just phone this guy tomorrow and interview him on YouTube and see. It doesn't work that way. You plan stuff. What am I going to ask him? You don't know what I'm going to ask you. But at the end of the day, like I say, anybody that's out there, just have confidence in your own abilities, be positive, and don't focus on fog or negative stuff. Focus on you, and you will achieve your results. It doesn't happen overnight, but if you work at it, the old saying is true: hard work pays off. And it's just a matter of working hard and working smart. Because we can all work hard, but we also need to work smart. And smart, a good example is, I'm going to take 5 backups of my data and keep it in a safe place, because you've learned. So you're now being smart, because I've learned something, although I trusted somebody else to do it for me because that was their job. And I assumed they were doing it, but obviously they weren't. So when the crunch came, I was stuck in a hole, and their attitude is, I don't care, not my problem. I've got your money, so what are you going to do? You can jump up and down and scream, you can cry, and you can complain, and you can go on and on how bad they are. It's not going to fix anything. If anything, it's going to give you higher blood pressure. So just say, yeah, it sucks, but hey, move forward.
So, at last, few words about the people who wants to come into Microsoft Azure cloud, or any cloud platform, if they are into studies, or who are already into the studies, who are already doing job. Do you have anything to say to them?
Yes, those that have already got jobs, that are working in the IT industry, that I would say, if you're working, whether it be Azure or AWS, try and upskill as often as you can. I'm not saying do an exam every month, but try and at least do 1 exam a year, or 2 exams a year. Keep current, because technology changes, and with change, things look different. And if you're current, you'll always be in demand, but again, you won't get left behind. Having that qualification is a plus, because it will give your employee validation that you know what you're talking about, because you've passed an exam. Azure is growing. I predict that Azure and AWS are the market leaders. I know Google do their own cloud platform. So does Alibaba, which is a Chinese cloud platform, which is available in China, and it's very, very big. But they all look and feel and have the same similarity as Azure or AWS. Also, I would say, have confidence in your own ability. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. Don't be afraid to take ownership. Hey, I've made a mistake, help. Most importantly, don't be afraid to ask questions. Always ask questions. I mean, even if you seem like the idiot, I'd rather be the idiot in the room than the smart person who knows nothing because they didn't ask questions. A good example is you'll go into a meeting or you'll go into a class and everyone will nod their head when the instructor's talking or when the manager's talking, and when the course or the instructor's finished and the manager's gone and the instructor's gone, you'll hear people saying, "Who's he talking about? But, did you understand him?" "Oh, no. What did he say?" They all say that. So, ask questions. And even if people sometimes get frustrated with you and they say, "Well, you're asking too many questions, keep quiet," you say, "No, the reason I'm asking is because I want to learn." Have confidence. If people say you're not capable, you are capable. If people say you'll never get there, you'll never do this, you'll never do that, don't listen to them. Focus on you. You can. One step at a time, and you will achieve your goals. If you look at the whole, for example, if you look at the whole picture, you're going to get despondent. Because if you look at Azure and you say, "Well, I want to do the Azure Administrators course," and you look at all the modules, it's a very big course to do, and you'll get despondent straight away. But if you take it in chunks, I'm going to do half an hour a day at home on this topic, then you'll be fine. MIT and Harvard University and Cambridge University in the UK have done a study that if you spend an hour a day listening to a topic you love, in IT for argument's sake, in your car or on the train or on the bus, by the end of the year you'll be the expert in that topic. And that's so true. Don't think, "Well, I have to learn when I get home." You've got your mobile phone, download a YouTube video or a podcast and watch that on the train, or download an MP3, watch it on the train, listen to it on the train, listen on the bus, listen to while you're walking to work. That's your 10 minutes of study time done. And it hasn't impacted your leisure time, because some people think, "Oh, I'm too tired when I get home, I don't want to study, it's hard work." Yes, it is hard work, but if you take 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day and you focus on a topic or read something while you're walking to work or while you're sitting on the bus or the train, or even while you're on your lunch break or tea break, read something 10 minutes on something, and by the end of the year you'll be an expert in what you're doing. And take one step at a time. That's all it is. Again, if you don't know something, reach out to people and ask for help. There's so many talented people that want to help and share their knowledge. And again, you as an individual are capable of doing so many great things. And again, don't let anyone say you're not capable, because I'm a good example. When I started in IT, everyone said to me, "Oh no, IT is only for clever people. You won't be capable. You won't be able to do this. You won't be able to do that." And if I look back today, one of the most qualified IT people around, and I've been fortunate enough to have worked in some very big corporations as well as small corporations. I've learned a lot, but I've got there by hard work and focusing and spending a bit of time on IT. Again, have confidence, believe in yourself, and I promise you, you'll surprise yourself. You are capable of doing so much if you just believe in yourself. Don't let anyone tell you you're not capable, because you can do it.
I'll put your YouTube link in the description of this video. People who finds our interview on YouTube, they can find your videos where
No,
you will put, yeah.
and I'm going to put if you send me your link, I'm going to put your link onto my YouTube channel as well, so people can go and visit your channel as well. And see, and I'll also put your link permanently in my LinkedIn as well, so that all the people I know can go to your channel. Because like I said, when I started my LinkedIn thing, like I say, it's not even been going a year. Come November, it's a year. And already I have such an amazing thing, like I say, and to have on the LinkedIn, over 14,000 followers is just tremendous for a short space of time compared to other people. Other people have got hundreds of thousands or millions, but that's not my goal. My goal is just to share the fact that I thought if I get one person, I'll be happy, and it's just exploded. If I get one subscriber on my YouTube channel, I'll be happy, and now it's over 870, and it climbs every day. So yes, send me your link, and I'll put it on my YouTube channel. I'll put it on my blog, and I'll put it on my LinkedIn. And I'm on there. I spend 10 minutes every day on LinkedIn, and on the weekends I do a training video and publish that up, and then I'll write an article on my blog. So I'm quite happy to keep you right at the top there, to get your name out there, to share your knowledge, because I believe what you're doing is really important for people that are wanting to get into the industry, or even people that are in the industry that just need to learn something different or know about something else. And also to realize that they're not the only idiot out there. There's a whole bunch of idiots out there that are happy to share knowledge, but most importantly, the support is there to support them and encourage them. So, yeah.
So at last, a few words about my work.
Your work, I mean, like I say, the fact that you're doing these interviews is really amazing. I think people can learn a lot from it, because at the end of the day, people can watch videos and they can read books and they can talk to other people, but physically talking to people in their particular field, for example, like in IT, why would I want to do IT? What resources, where should I start? What about if I make a mistake? What do I need to know? Where do I go? So I think what you're doing is really crucial, because like say, today you'll interview me as an IT person. Tomorrow you may interview a bus driver. So at the end of the day, like I said, not everybody wants to do IT. People may want to do something else, and watching your interviews will encourage people, regardless of whatever they want to do. It'll give them the courage and give them the motivation to say, hey, if he can do it, I can do it. And the only way they know that is by you talking to other people, and they'll realize that they're not alone. People can achieve great things just by people giving them the support, people giving them confidence. And like I say, your channel has been, it's an amazing channel, I think. It's really going to help the younger generation and even the older people that want to know some stuff. So it's really good.
So at last, can I put this video and audio clip on my YouTube channel, social media,
Absolutely.
internet, podcast, website, everywhere with your permission?
You can put it wherever you want. That's fine. You can even delete it. It's all good. Absolutely. You can put it wherever you like. I have no issues at all. And I like I say, I wish you the best, and I hope this won't be the last. I hope we still have more interviews to come down the line.
Yeah, definitely. That is what my next one is. Whenever you are free, with your free tier account, I never visited and saw how Microsoft Azure services works and what other services are there. Whenever you are free, completely when you are free, I don't
I'm
want to
normally
disturb
free.
you.
No, normally, like I say, this time on a Saturday is normally a good time. I'm normally free on Saturdays. And like I said, if there's a topic you want to cover, if you might say, hey guys, we're going to do an online course discussion about what is, I don't know, what is a backup. Hey guys, why would we do a backup? What are the issues with the backup? Just kind of share that knowledge with everyone. Because all right, next week we'll talk about this. It doesn't have to be Azure. It can be a lot of things in IT. But yes, I'm more than happy to do a weekly thing with you for however long it takes. I have no qualms. We can say, right, we can do this every week. Today we'll have a 10-minute video on this. and then next week we'll carry on this. And yes, so like I say, I'm quite happy to do that. You might want to focus on security. Then we can say, right, this is what we want to, we've got a little topic on this. So you tell me what topic you want to talk about, and we can touch base every Saturday this time. I'm quite happy to do it because I don't work on a Saturday. So yeah, I have lots of time to do this.
Yeah, on next Saturday, if possible, can you show the implementation
Yes,
of the core
yes,
services of
yes.
Microsoft Azure?
Yeah, I mean, we can actually do this live. I can give you my TeamViewer session. I can go live into an Azure. We can actually, I can tell you what it is I'm doing, how I'm creating it. We can do that, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes, we say, look, this is how you implement it. Hey, guys, you may have come across
I'll
this.
I'll show that to I'll show
Yes,
that to my audience in the same way like we did
yes,
now.
yes, absolutely. So I'm quite happy to do that. I mean, your audience may say, hey, you want to do something on Shadow Protect, or do you want to do something else in IT? Then we can do that. But I'm quite happy with Azure. The next session video, say, all right, guys, let's explore the portal. This is what the portal is. These are what the core services are. And this is what each service does. And it doesn't have to be long. It can be, like you say, a 20-minute video,
Yeah,
and we can say, there we go. And you can say, right, next week we can carry on until we've gone through all the core services. And then you might say, hey, we want to cover this. We can do that. And I'll be more than comfortable for you to put it onto your channel. And yes, you just tell me and we can get going. Yes. If you want to
yeah.
do it next week, we can do it next week. At the same time, you just let me know. Say, hey, Ryan, we want to do it next week. And then we'll go from there, and it'll all be good.
My audience listened to your words. Next week, you're going to be on my show again with the topics that I said. Thank you very much, sir, for giving me your valuable time and telling me a lot of important things, not only for me, for people who are into IT. You know, I don't know how much views or how many people are going to see this video. I'm sure uh, it goes everywhere, and even one person gets information from you and changes the way he thinks. That will be, that I will be very happy person, just because just
Yes.
contributing what I have, and just telling what I know through my
No,
medium.
I feel very privileged that you've taken the time to contact me. I'm very humbled that I'm able to share knowledge, because it's a privilege to share something. So when someone contacts you and asks for information about stuff, I always consider it a privilege. So I will try to do my best in the next interview to answer more questions and help where I can. And like I say, at the end of the day, it's a two-way street. Uh, you help me, I'm helping you. And if we help one person change, we've done an amazing job. Just all it takes is one person. So yes, and like I say, we can actually structure the video so, like I say, they're like 20 minutes or 15-minute segments, so they're not too long for the person who wants to watch them on YouTube, and we can go from there. But yes, I'm quite happy to do a weekly thing with you every week. This time I've got no problems at all. You can just say, hey Ryan, let's tie this up, and then I can call you next week this time, or you call me next week this time, and we'll carry on, and we'll make it a regular thing. I'm quite happy to do that.
Yes, sir, I will save the time and in my diary. So I will put
Okay.
it as a
You
notification
can just
also
call me
on my
Ryan.
email.
My name's Ryan.
Ryan,
Yeah, so just call me
yeah,
Ryan. It's simple as
Ryan,
that. Yeah,
yeah,
and I'll be
Ryan.
able, yeah, be able to help. Yeah, no, absolutely. You just let me know, my good man, and I'm sure together we can do some great things. I'm really excited that you reached out, and the fact that we can uh, expand on your channel, and I can expand on my knowledge. It's like I say, it's a win-win for both of us. I don't know anybody. I have seen a few people do what we want to do, like have little video interviews on, hey, this is how we do this, and little demos, and they seem to be in big demand, but there's very few people doing them. So again, this is going to put you in you're going to be one of the first batch to do this, because I think once this kicks off, you'll see a lot of people trying to copy what you do. So by that time, you will be well established.
See, the advantage of this is New Zealand people will watch you, connects with you, with your vocabulary, with the way you speak English, and Indians, especially Indians, the Asian continent people will connect with my kind of expressions. So like it is like it is a network that we created now.
Yes, absolutely, and it's going to be a successful network, and I'm really looking forward to our little partnership doing this. So I'm really excited now about being able to partner with you to do this um, every week. And like I say, we have a very huge Indian community in New Zealand here as well. And I mean, so it's going to be amazing. So I'm really privileged that you contact me, and I know we together we're going to achieve good results.
Definitely. So thank you, sir. Thank you, Ryan,
Yep.
for giving me your valuable time again and spending your valuable words here.
No, thank you too for your time. Your time is also valuable as well. I understand. So I really appreciate your time and your effort, my good man. Thank you again so much. And I look forward to Saturday again.
Yeah, me, me too. Take care. Keep
Take
going.
care.
Keep doing what you love.
You too. Thanks, mate.
Yeah. Bye.